And we're back. What I want to talk about this time is a specific hack that you had mentioned in your book, the wake up hack. It's an awareness hack.
Yeah, the wake up hack is really something just about everybody needs to use, because we tend to go through life and we kind of see the things that we want to see. Have you ever experienced, you go and buy a car, right? And you're going to buy a white Toyota, and the next 3 days, all you keep doing is seeing white Toyotas because you're not filtering out white Toyotas anymore. So that's kind of part of it, that the way our thinking process works, we kind of default to these automatic thinking a lot of times. We don't even pay attention to stuff that we don't think it's important, because when we do use our thinking process, it's effortful sometimes when you have to think about stuff.
Right. Well, what's the problem with seeing too many white?
No, there's no problem. But the point is that unless you're looking for white Toyotas, you may not tend to notice the ones that are there. And that applies to our own motivations and our behaviors that result from the motivations. So think about it. A lot of people like to block out things that are unpleasant. If you feel like you're not effective on your job, most people are not going to sit there all day and say, you know what, I really stink on my job. They're going to kind of sweep it under we could call this the under the rug hack. And as we go through life, we tend not to want to think about things that are unpleasant, even if it's things external in the world. I know right now that probably 1,000 poor kids died in Africa today, but I haven't really been thinking about that, because when I think about it, it's unpleasant. So if we're navigating our lives and that same sort of thing happens to us, that we tend to filter out certain things that we don't want to notice, we're not using all of the available information that's out there that can help us understand why we feel bad about going to work, or why we may not be satisfied in a relationship, or why do we hate to study, or why do we get bored in doing a certain job, or reading a certain kind of book. Like, maybe you don't like history books, but why?
Well, how do you identify these things? Because there's so much that's unconscious in our lives. How do we use this hack to bring or identify what exactly we need to bring forth from the unconscious to the conscious?
Well, that really is up to the individual. I don't know what you don't like to think about, and you don't know what I like to think about. So it kind of depends. Like, I could give you my example. Sometimes I just do my job, and I'm not really particularly satisfied doing that job, because I don't necessarily think that learning outcomes are really important to my university. That's just my personal opinion. Doesn't reflect what my employer thinks. So for me to do my job effectively, I have to stop thinking about that, because if I think about that too much, it bothers me. Okay, but if it bothers me enough, then I have to start thinking about it, because you shouldn't put yourself in a situation where you have to spend a lot of time and you're not comfortable or not happy. So the solution for a lot of people is, I'm not going to think about it. But if you're not thinking about it, it's never going to change. And if it bothers you and it's not changing, then we really have a problem. And that's why we have these awareness hacks in general, to bring this stuff up to the surface, because you cannot begin to modify the feeling that you have unless you think consciously about the unconscious.
Right. So to some extent, the wake up is a way of saying recognize.
Yeah, absolutely.
And right, a recognition of that there is a problem.
Right.